witnessing the power of the Ultrazord! Ultrazord, power out!
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today's deck is one I'm super excited about because it's using a card that I think is going to get really crazy once Duskmourn drops, and that's 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 Eternal Schemer. This deck is called Mockingbird, and the idea is we're taking 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟, we're cross-pollinating all of these crazy enchantment synergies with 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 with none other than Mockingbird, which has kind of been my pet card recently. Now, it doesn't seem on the surface like Mockingbird has a whole lot in common with 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 and that they'd fit together in the same deck, but we found the absolute perfect brew to utilize both cards, and it's super fun and super crazy, and I'm super excited to see where else this deck can go once Duskmourn drops, because Duskmourn is bringing the enchantments, and 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm telling you guys right now, I already have an insane amount of ideas to brew during early access, so I hope you'll join me for early access. I'm going to be doing a 24-hour marathon stream on Twitch. That's September 18th through September 19th, where we are just throwing everything at the wall, trying a ton of crazy new deck ideas that are just swimming around in my brain right now. If you've been keeping up with spoiler season lately, you know that there's a ton of crazy stuff and a ton of crazy enchantments specifically that are going to work insanely well with 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟. So get ready. Before we break down this deck, make sure you like the video if you haven't already. It's you guys liking every video that has helped this channel to grow so damn quick, and I'm so appreciative. Honestly, it means the world for me. This channel would be nowhere without you guys, so thank you so much. Smash that like button. If you're new here, subscribe so you never miss an upload. Tons of crazy spoiler content on the way, and make sure you catch me live Monday through Friday over on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/quarantinecapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. If you're seeing this the day it comes out, it's very possible that I'm in the middle of community night over on Twitch. That happens every Thursday, so join me for community night. If you beat me in a game, you win an actual physical pack of magic cards. Just got a new booster box of Bloom Burrow in the mail to use for that, so come on over, beat me in some games. I'll see you there. Let's break down the deck. This video is brought to you by Wonders of the First, but I'll tell you about that later, because you guys really need to see what the hell this deck can do. So let's check it out. Alright, so this is Mockingbird, and we're building around 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 Eternal Schemer. I love brewing around 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟. We haven't yet brewed a standard deck with 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 ever since rotation, now that Kamigawa is gone. Most of the old 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 decks revolved around a lot of those enchantments that came in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, so this is the first time I really took a crack at brewing a 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 deck ever since that rotation. And we're trying to take 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟, and we're trying to cross-pollinate the synergies with Mockingbird. Mockingbird is one of my recent pet cards that I'm excited about, and it doesn't seem like Mockingbird and 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 belong in the same deck together on first inspection, but this is kind of the perfect deck to utilize both of these cards, and I'm really happy with how this deck turned out. So, first of all, we have 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 here, Eternal Schemer. 1/4 flyer, legendary human wizard for 3 mana in the colors of 𝑠𝑝E‍r. And enchantment creatures you control have Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof. Now, it doesn't matter if those creatures are just enchantment creatures to begin with, or if they're creatures that start as enchantments that we're turning into creatures by some other means. All enchantment creatures are going to get Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof when 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 is on the battlefield, which should be pretty awesome once Duskmourn comes around, because there's a ton of enchantment creatures in that set. But I digress. For 1 white and 1, you have an activated ability here. Target non-aura enchantment you control becomes a creature in addition to its other types and has base power and base toughness, each equal to its mana value. So, we're playing with a bunch of crazy enchantments that we can turn into big threatening creatures with 𝑇𝑒𝑟𝑟 that are not only going to be that much bigger if they have higher mana values, but are also going to all get the Death Touch, the Lifelink, and the Hexproof, which can be pretty insane. Now, Mockingbird is 1 blue and X for a 1/1 flyer, and it can enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield at all that has a mana value of less than or equal to however much mana you spend total on Mockingbird. So what's cool about Mockingbird in this deck is if you turn any of your enchantments into creatures with 𝑍r Eternal Schemer, that's a way for then Mockingbird to be played as another copy of that enchantment. So as an example, Leyline Binding. Leyline Binding can come in for as little as 3 mana in this deck because we're playing 3 colors. Exile a big threat, and then if we have a Mockingbird in our hand, if we can turn the Leyline Binding into a creature with 𝑍r, we can then play the Mockingbird for, you know, however much mana we need to. We would have to pay the full 6 mana value of the Leyline Binding, but Mockingbird could come in as another Leyline Binding. So we could effectively be playing with what amounts to sort of 8 copies of Leyline Binding in our deck. So being able to use Mockingbird to make copies of our non-creature enchantments by first turning them into creatures with 𝑍r is really awesome. Now, if that was the entire deck, if that was the synergy, that would be a little too cute. You know, that's not going to happen all that often, but as extra value, as something extra we can do with Mockingbird, it's actually really cool, and it does come up in some of the games. Now, what we're really trying to do with Mockingbird in this deck is make copies of tokens, because we are using a ton of enchantments that can not only be enchantments for 𝑍r to turn into relevant threats, but they're enchantments that make token creatures that are insanely good things to copy with the Mockingbird. And the best example of that is Corpses of the Lost. This comes down as a 3 mana enchantment, so it can be turned into a threat with 𝑍r, but it also spits out a skeleton token, a 2/2, that then gets +1/+0 and haste from the Corpses of the Lost. So it's a 3/2 haste creature, and then we can just pay 1 mana for the Mockingbird. We don't have to put any mana whatsoever into X, because technically the token has no mana cost. So it comes down for just 1 mana, becomes essentially a 3/2 flying haste creature for just 1 mana, and it's going to get buffs from, you know, additional Corpses of the Lost if we get more online. If we end up, you know, turning Corpses of the Lost itself into a creature with 𝑍r, and then copying that creature version of Corpses of the Lost with Mockingbird, that copy will spit out another token. All of the tokens will get buffs from all of the Corpses of the Lost, and it can be absolutely insane. So the idea basically is we're trying to double down on a ton of enchantments that are spitting out these tokens because they are very, very efficient targets for Mockingbird, while also being really good win conditions for 𝑍r to turn into creatures, and then we're cross-pollinating all of those synergies. So at the bottom of the curve, we've got 4 Case of the Stashed Skeleton, 2 mana enchantment, spits out a 2/1 skeleton creature token that becomes suspected, so it won't be able to block, but it will have menace. It's going to get buffed up by Corpses of the Lost. It can be a decent target for a Mockingbird, and then the Case of the Stashed Skeleton itself can become a creature by way of 𝑍r, or if we happen to lose that creature token, and we no longer have a skeleton token that's suspected, we can use the Case to become solved and use it as a tutor to find whatever pieces we might need, maybe another 𝑍r, or whatever the case may be. So this is just an extremely versatile card that's going to work really, really well in this deck paired with Corpses of the Lost, and just has a ton of extra value to offer when paired with either 𝑍r or the Mockingbird. In addition, we're running 3 Virtue of Loyalty, because it's another way to make a token creature early for 2 mana at instant speed, spits out a 2/2 Vigilance Knight token, which is another good target for the Mockingbird. Mockingbird, for again just 1 mana, can come in as a 2/2 Vigilance Flyer, which can be really, really crazy. But then we can also play Virtue of Loyalty as a 5-drop enchantment that can be turned into a 5/5 creature with 𝑍r that has Death Touch and Lifelink and Hexproof, also with the static ability of the Virtue of Loyalty online, buffing itself, untapping itself, as well as the rest of your board, so it can get really crazy. In addition, we have 4 Virtue of Persistence as our removal card at the 2-drop slot. Give any creature -3/-3 while gaining 2 life, helps us deal with aggro in the early game, but then if we're dragging the game out long, which this deck can do very easily, we get to 7 mana, we play Virtue of Persistence. Now not only do we have a way of getting back a relevant threat every turn, getting our 𝑍r back from the graveyard, but also we can turn this into a 7/7 Death Touch lifelinking hexproof with 𝑍 for just 2 mana, which is just insane. So Virtue of Persistence is a great piece of early removal because it doubles as insane board presence that combos with everything else we're trying to do if we drag the game out long enough. Moving on to the 3-drop slot, we have 3 Caretaker's Talent because not only is it an enchantment for 𝑍, but this is the card that capitalizes on creating tokens, and since most of the enchantments in this deck are creating tokens to get more value out of Mockingbird, being able to also use Caretaker's Talent to draw cards off of those tokens, to when leveling up to level 2 make additional copies of those tokens, and then to give all of those tokens buffs when we level it up to level 3 is absolutely amazing. If we turn the Caretaker's Talent into a creature with 𝑍, we can then make a copy of the Caretaker's Talent with a 3 casting cost Mockingbird and get an additional Caretaker's Talent, start getting exponential draws, make another copy of another token, buff our team up even more. It can just get really, really silly. So Caretaker's Talent just synergizes with everything we're trying to do and is another really good reason to be running enchantments specifically that make token creatures, like the Corpses of the Lost, and like the Case of the Stashed Skeleton, and like the Virtue of Loyalty. In addition to the Caretaker's Talent, we've also got 3 copies of Zoraline, Cosmos Caller, 3 mana for a 3/3 flying vigilance creature, and whenever a bat you control attacks, you gain a life, which is just a little bit of gravy, nothing special. I'm pretty sure this is the only bat here. But whenever Zoraline enters or attacks, you can pay 2 mana and 2 life, and when you do, return target non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Why is this important? Because we have so many 3-drops in this deck that are prime targets for our opponent's removal that they're going to try and take off the board quick. So if we could just play Zoraline and use Zoraline to get all of those cards back, it's insane. We can get back our Caretaker's Talent, which is going to just have a huge target on its back. We can get back 𝑍, which the entire deck kind of revolves around, right? We can get back Corpses of the Lost if for some reason the Corpses of the Lost is killed by our opponent. We can even get back some of the smaller things like Case of the Stashed Skeleton. There's just a lot of value Zoraline has to offer, and being able to get repeated triggers is awesome. We can even bring back a Mockingbird, but we have to be very careful because when we do bring back a Mockingbird with Zoraline, we're going to have to copy something that costs 1 or less. In most decks, that wouldn't be good and really worth doing. It would kind of be a non-bow. But in this deck, it actually works fine because most of the things we want to copy with Mockingbird are tokens anyway that cost 0. So if Mockingbird comes into play with us having spent 0 mana to cast it because we brought it back from the graveyard with Zoraline, it doesn't matter. It can still become a skeleton token. It can still become, you know, the knight token. It can become any of these token creatures whatsoever, and most of the time that's what we want it to be, so it's actually really interesting synergy in this deck. But moving on from Zoraline into the 5-drop slot, we don't have any 4-drops. We do have the Leyline Bindings at 6, but they're going to be usually 3 mana because we're going to have all 3 basic land types of in the colors of 𝑤𝑚𝑠. Typically, sometimes we might only have 2 and it will be a 4-drop, but it's usually going to be a 3-drop. But we don't have any actually organic 4-drops in this deck, but we do have a bunch of 5-drops. You know, in addition to the Virtue of Loyalty's hard-casted side, we have 2 Invasion of Tolvada, which is amazing in this deck because as soon as it enters the battlefield, it can get any permanent from a graveyard back to the battlefield. So we can bring back our Caretaker's Talent, we can bring back our Zoraline to bring back even more stuff, we can bring back our 𝑍. We have all these ways of getting back things, not just with the Zoraline, but also now with the Invasion of Tolvada. We can even get back a very expensive Virtue of Persistence if for some reason one of those ends up in our graveyard, if our opponent duresses us or something like that. So a lot of value can be had with just even the front side of Tolvada in this deck, since so many cards have a target on their back and are definitely going to go to the graveyard and be really good targets to get back with the Tolvada. But if we can attack in and flip this into the Broken Sky, it gets even better because the Broken Sky is an enchantment, so it lines up with 𝑍 and it spits out a token at the end of every one of our end steps, which is only a 1/1 flyer, but it's going to get the buff from the Broken Sky, become a 2/1 flyer, and have lifelink. And then the Broken Sky is going to give all of our token creatures lifelink and +1/+0. And since we're running so many different token creatures in this deck, all of them getting lifelink, all of them getting +1/+0 is actually really substantial. So the Broken Sky is actually kind of insane. I kind of like it more than even the front side, and it's just a perfect addition to this deck. In addition to that, another one of these 5-drops that we're trying out is Season of the Burrow, and I think this is a perfect deck for this as well because it has 3 different modes. So you get 5 paws worth of modes for 5 mana. For 1 paw, you can make a 1/1 White Rabbit creature token, which is good for just, you know, synergizing with all of our token synergies, the Caretaker's Talent and all that stuff, giving us another thing we can target with the Mockingbird for just the 1 mana, all that good stuff. Then for 2 paws, you can exile a non-land permanent and its controller draws a card, so it's a way of having some more removal in the deck, and it being exile removal. But the real winner here is for 3 paws, you return any permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. So not only are we able to get back key cards like Zoraline and 𝑠 that are gonna get removed early by our opponent, but they come back with an indestructible counter, so it's that much harder for our opponent to actually get them off the field for good. If we can just stick a 𝑠 on a board with all of this coming down, we're absolutely gonna win. So Season of the Burrow, super good with really good 3-drops that are must answer threats, and this deck has like 9 of them. 13 if you count the Corpses of the Lost, but 𝑠, Zoraline, Caretaker's Talent, any of those stick, you're probably winning the game. So being able to bring them back with indestructible counters is nuts. Being able to do that while also creating a couple rabbits to draw cards off a Caretaker's Talent, or exiling a key threat like an Atraxa or something to get it off the board, really good. So Season of the Burrow is awesome in this deck. Honestly, I could see either Invasion of Tolvada or Season of the Burrow going up to 4 copies. But I think 2 and 2 is right for now because I think both of them have strengths and weaknesses and both of them are worth considering. So future versions of this deck, who knows, maybe we end up going more in the direction of one over the other. But I think both of these cards are awesome 5-drops for this deck in particular. The mana base is very specific. We need access to enough basic land types for Leyline Binding to get the cost down to 3 consistently. So we're running 3 Undercity Sewers because they count as islands and swamps. They also help us surveil one, which lines up really nicely with Corpses of the Lost, because if we get these lands a little bit later in the game and we want to be able to return Corpses of the Lost to our hand to replay it and make another skeleton token, we can do that by surveilling with an Undercity Sewers. We can also do that with 2 Shadowy Backstreet, which is the same exact thing, except it's plains in a swamp, and then the 3 Meticulous Archive, which is a plains in an island. So having these ways of surveilling for Corpses of the Lost while also giving us our land types we need for Leyline Binding is a nice little bit of overlapping synergy that really helps the deck line up. In addition, we have 4 Fabled Passage. We can use these to find whatever basic we're missing so that we get to our all 3 basic types to make sure that Leyline Binding is consistently 3 mana, while also just getting the mana that we need to cast all the stuff that we need, right? We've got 2 plains, 2 swamps, and just 1 island to go with that, because there are some things in the deck that cost 2 black, there are some things in the deck that cost 2 white, and it sucks if you have like 1 plains on the battlefield and it's your only white source, and you just need another white source to cast like Season of the Burrow or something, and you don't have another plains to search up. So making sure we have at least 2 plains, at least 2 swamps is important for that reason. Blue's kind of just a splash, so we really only need the 1 to make sure we can cast a 𝑠 or a Mockingbird. So just one of those is fine. In addition, we've got 4 Concealed Courtyards as our fast lands that come into play untapped if we control 2 or fewer lands, and that's because everything we're playing on turn 2 is either using black or white mana. We don't really need our blue on turn 2, so having the fast lands that can be untapped on turn 2 be those colors of mana is important. And then we've got just 1 pain land that can make white and blue in the form of Adarkar Wastes, and 1 pain land that can make blue or black in the form of Underground River. and then just one Thran Portal, because it can be whatever basic we need that we happen to be missing, whether it's for Leyline Binding, or just because we need that color of mana for whatever we might need. But what's cool about Thran Portal too is sometimes if you have enough of all the colored manas you need, you can just have this enter as a forest or a mountain, so that you have a 4th basic land type online, so that Leyline Binding's cost goes down to 2. It's not going to come up very often. We are just running 1 copy as a little bit of extra consistency. It's not worth running a ton of these because it enters untapped only up until, you know, the 3rd land, and after that it'll have to enter tapped. So we don't want to go crazy with this, especially because we will lose a life every time we use it for mana, not only when we use it for colored mana like the normal pain lands, but as an extra little bit of consistency that can be whatever of the 3 colors we need, or possibly that 4th land type if we have plenty of each color, so that Leyline Binding's only 2 mana. I do think it's worth including just the 1. So this is the deck. Honestly, tons of fun, and seeing how crazy Mockingbird works with skeletons, with the Corpses of the Lost and the Case of the Stashed skeleton, is insane. Sometimes you can almost run this like it's an aggro deck if you line up turn 2 Case of the Stashed skeleton, turn 3 Corpses of the Lost into a Mockingbird. You can just kill them so quick, it's nuts. But most of the time this is just a value engine machine that drags the game out, wins through sheer card advantage, and it's really, really hard for your opponent to outvalue you. So the deck's nuts. Honestly, want to try exploring Skeleton Tribal with Mockingbird in another deck in the future, because I think those cards combo together so well, and I'm super excited to explore more Zur as soon as Duskmourn pops. So using this deck as a way to kind of test the waters and get ready for Duskmourn is super exciting. Now let's check out the games. I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Wonders of the First. Wonders of the First is a brand new collectible card game similar to games like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, featuring a unique action-based resource economy that helps avoid pitfalls like Mana Flood or Mana Screw, and a battlefield containing multiple realms that unlock over time as you fight for control of the stones. The first 400 card set is called Existence and will launch to retail in the fall, but playtest team starter kits are available to order now. And they haven't forgotten about all you collectors out there. The game contains alternate borderless art variants, as well as highly sought after limited edition numbered prints, culminating in a 1-of-1 stone foil. And the best part is that the developers have a community first approach, with 8 print and play decks available on their website, as well as a version of the game available on Tabletop Simulator, all for free. For more information, be sure to check out wondersccg.com today. That's wondersccg.com. Let's do it. We got 3 lands. We actually have a 3-land hand. Who would have thought? Let's keep it. Let's do it! We'll start with an Undercity Sewers. I don't know what other kind of sewers there is, other than the Undercity kind, but I mean, apparently, are there some sewers that are Overcity? I guess. Caustic Bronco. The cost of the Bronco. Let's pass the turn. The question is now, do we trade with the Caustic Bronco? I think yes. I think yes. Oh no, now we can't. Fatty Main, are you stream sniping? Don't lie to me. Don't you lie to me, boy! That's right, you take 3. You're off to the races, my friends. Take another 5. Take another 5. Duress. Well, you can't hit any of our important stuff, so that makes me happy. Season is gone. How good is Caustic Bronco going to be after Duskmourn comes out? There's so many crazy expensive cards that have ways to get them into play for less. You have the new rooms, right? Which count as the total converted mana cost if a Bronco hits it, but has cheaper sides that you can play for cheap, which is amazing. Oh god, this is gross. I think we win. Very close to it. Very close to it. See you later, bro. Give me back my Zoraline. And give me back my corpses, too. Let's go. Haha, scoop it up. Scoop it up. This is a very slow hand. We do have access to all 3 colors. If we're up against an aggro deck, we're toast. I think we have to mulligan it. This is much better. Definitely keep this. Toss back a land. I think we toss back the plains. Because we can Backstreet on 1. Courtyard on 2. Wastes on 3. Have access to our blue. Access to our blue. Alright. Backstreet's back. Alright. I think we have to keep that on top, right? Yeah, that's just too good. We gotta keep it on top. Keep 𝐀𝐫𝐴𝑣𝑟𝑛 but what does he hit? I feel like he should hit the corpses, honestly. But I mean... Alright. Here we go. Now he hits the Caretaker's talent, probably. I mean, I don't know if that's correct, though. Hitting both the corpses, probably the better call. We're definitely going to be able to race you with 2 corpses. Insane. Glarb. 2/4 Death Touch, sure. Put something in the yard for Zoraline? No. Well, let's keep that on top, because that can kill a deep 𝐀𝐫𝐴𝑣𝑟𝑛 and get us something back. And then we're going to play the other corpses and swing with 2 4-power creatures. That's a lot of damage. Sorry, Glarb. I still think he should have taken both the corpses. I really do. Although we could have played the Leyline by now if he did. So maybe not. Let's see. Wow, okay. Okay. I guess we just... Virtue of Persistence. The dude with the Leyline Binding. Now he can only gain 1 life. And we have removal to hit a blocker. So we should have lethal next turn. We shall see. Yeah, he's got to waste his removal on the tokens. Makes sense. Even the dog's excited. Maggie's Tea. Friend the Relentless. How relentless is Friend? Let's see, Ward 2, so we can't Leyline Binding it. What can we do? What can we do? I mean, we could Leyline Binding the Glarb so that he has to trade the Vren for the token, right? Tricky. I'm worried about him getting value off the Vren, so I think we make the play that lessens the chances of him being able to do that. Rather than putting out another creature and then letting him remove creatures with removal on his turn and trigger the Vren. Alright, we get him at 1. He's got to do something big this turn. He's down to 3 cards. We draw 1 and we can use either of these the turn they come down, or we can play Season of the Burrow. And all of that is nuts. Gix's Command. Makes us sack a creature. Puts 2 counters on the bat. Gets a rat. Don't think it's enough, though. Do we play the case? We could play the case and swing in for 4 and force him to trade his rat. Problem is he ends up getting another rat if our guy dies. Oh wait, it's got Menace, guys. I forgot. It's got Menace. Sorry, Maggie. Alright, we can't keep this, right? 2 lands, both enter tapped, a bunch of expensive stuff. This is better. We at least have a couple of 2-mana things, even though we still only have 2 lands. So we'll keep this. I think we toss back the Leyline Binding since we do have a Virtue. If we do get to 3 mana, we're going to want to play the Caretaker's Talent. We'll keep the Swamp. That way we can start drawing cards. Alright, we'll pass the turn. We will, at instant speed, get the 2/2 Knight out on our opponent's turn. Pass. Alright. Fealty. Fealty. Welcome to Fealty. Use your removal. Do it. Thank you. We're going to take a chance and play out the Zur. Because we have the 4th land. So I'd like the opportunity, I don't think it's going to come up, but I'd like the opportunity to... Alright, so we fetch a Plains. Yeah, it's going to take a couple turns here. Swing in. Play a Caretaker's Talent. Dog's excited. As he should be. Hey, ding dong. No one's trying to attack us. Go lay down. He thinks he's the family alarm system. He really does. It's funny too because it's Bo. It's the one that's the most shy and the most timid. He's the one dog that if anyone broke in, he's not doing nothing. He's running and hiding in the closet. But he's always the first to bark. All bark, no bite. Alright, alright. Looks like we've got some fun. We can turn the Caretaker's Talent into a creature, which is nice. One, 1. Alright, so we're going to target the talent. We're going to swing. And, I mean, I think we virtue the otter. Just to keep the tempo advantage past the turn. Welcome to the stream, Squirrel. Invasion of Segovia. He'll draw cards off of his Caretaker's Talent. That's fine. Mock, yeah. Yeah. Let me think. We need a token. Somehow. I guess... Do we just get the Zoraline out ahead of time? So that we can attack and use it next turn? We don't really have anything to bring back. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to make another Caretaker's Talent with flying. With flying, because why not? And we're not going to attack. We're going to end the turn. Just need one more land and we're in really good shape. Acid Casualty. Acid. Another Caretaker's Talent. It's the Battle of the Talents. That's fine. Make a copy of whatever. Draw a couple cards. I'm not super worried. We do need to make... I need a token! I don't have anything that can make a token. I have so much stuff, but I don't have anything that can make a token. It's problematic. Let's do this. Four boys. Well, Leyline Binding isn't going to do very much at all then. So I guess we just trade. And we'll end the turn. We hold up the ability to either turn the Caretaker's Talent into a creature Or we can Leyline Binding. Probably Leyline Binding. And then turn it into a 6/6 next turn. There will be none of that. Protect the negotiators. Wow, okay. Okay, okay. Interesting. Another Leyline Binding. We need to start doing things, I think. So he's gonna buff his tokens, right? So we're gonna need the blocker. No attacks. End the turn. We just got really unlucky. We got literally the only cards in the deck that don't make tokens. And that's what our entire hand has been. The Virtues, the Leyline Bindings, the Zergas, and the Zoralines. It's like the only cards, or close to it, that do not make tokens in some capacity. And it's frustrating. Yeah, 3 steps ahead might be a good idea. But we are going to need to go up on blue sources if we add that card. Hello, Acid Casualty. More going ham, sure. We are in the air, though. Like, I can swing for 9 next turn. If I really want to. Get back the Caretaker's talent, get him to 5. We go up to 27 because of the life gain. We still have a blocker if we're desperate, and I think we just win next turn, unless he Sunfalls. He kind of has to Sunfall, right? A lot of cards, but I mean, you need to not die. Do you have a land to play so that you can cast Sunfall? You buff the whole team and you do what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16 damage. We're still at 11. Zergo. We just Leyline Binding the Zurgo, right? It's gonna swing? I was gonna say. He doesn't have any mana, right? What a strange attack. Season of the Burrow. But not enough mana to cast it. So I guess we just Leyline Binding Zurgo and then win. Yeah, it seems fine. Alright, we have no black. But we do have a Virtue of Loyalty. And we've got 2 Surveil ones to dig to find a black source. I think I'm actually going to keep it. Now, no matter what, we dump anything that isn't a black source. Oh, well. Now we have a black source, so I guess it doesn't matter. We still probably want to find a black source, but... I mean, ensuring we get to 5 with the kind of hand that we have seems like it makes sense, so let's actually keep it. Up the beanstalk, sure. Alright, so turn 4, we're definitely going to. Alright, I think what we do is we play an untapped land this turn, pass, play the fealty. Next turn we play Zur. Turn 4 we play a tapped land. Turn 5 we start going ham with all of these. Hopefully we draw something to play on turn 4 though. We're only going to have 3 untapped lands. We shall see. We shall see. Do we play out the Zur? Well, let's see if we can bait out removal first. Alright, I think we just kind of have to play the Zur, right? We got to take advantage of the fact that we're ahead on tempo. Alright, that's fine. It's more ways for us to dig for things. We just really need anything we can play next turn. Anything at all. We can get back Zur with Season of the Burrow, which will be insane. Corpses. Let's put that away. We can bring it back. We've got 3 things in our hand that can bring stuff back. Let's crack our map tokens. Because why not? And swing 3. Pass the turn. Alright, so we drew an untapped land, which means we can just start hammering our 5-drops next turn. Which is honestly amazing. Alright, we're going to want, I think, a white source. Does he have a counterspell? That's the question. That's the question. Let's find out. Leyline Binding. Does he hit the creature? No, it's the Virtue. I mean, that's probably fine. So we got the Leyline Binding out of his hand, and now we can Season of the Burrow pretty safely. Probably get back the 𝑍. Or actually, if we get back the Caretaker's Talent first, we'll also draw cards off of the rabbits that we make. Oh, we can exile the Leyline Binding. Right? Let's play the archive. Dump a 𝑍. Let me think. Let me think. If we bring back Caretaker's Talent, we can't really swing with the Knight, right? Exile the Leyline Binding. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, target a non-land permanent, Leyline Binding, and then do we Caretaker's Talent? It's actually probably better to get a creature, right? No attacks, because now the creatures get the counters from the virtue. Whereas we're not creating a token this turn, so we don't really need the Caretaker's Talent yet. Alright, so block here because we're indestructible. We're indestructible and we don't care. Atraxa Grand Unifier, sure. No cares whatsoever. We'll exile it with a Season of the Burrow again. That's what we're going to have to do. That's what we're going to have to do. Let's see, Get Lost. Herd Migration, Cornucopia, Leyline Binding Swamp. The Leyline Binding is kind of rough. Alright, we're going to exile the Atraxa. And we'll get back Caretaker's Talent. And then we'll level it up. Make a copy of the Knight. Draw a card. Swing. Get in for damage. Get counters from the virtue. Pass. We've pretty much got lethal next turn. Alright, what do you use the Leyline Binding on at this point? If we Tolvada, we're going to be left with 2 mana to use. So the question is, do we Tolvada a 𝑍 and then animate Virtue of Loyalty to swing with the virtue? Or do we Tolvada a Corpses of the Lost and then Mockingbird to make a copy of the skeleton, swing for 4? 6? No, I like this better. I like this better. We get back 𝑍. We activate 𝑍 on the Virtue of Loyalty. We swing at the Tolvada. Flip it. Make the Broken Sky. Play Thran Portal for... At this point, I'd rather just choose, like, green to make our Leyline Bindings technically cost less. So Broken Sky triggers first. We get a token. We draw a card. Then everything gets counters. Yeah, this is a crazy board state. Up the Beanstalk. We're gonna do some ridiculous shenanigans right now. You guys don't even know. He probably plays Sunfall here, so we need to just trade our token. Keep our life. Didn't even choose to kill the token. He probably wants his Sunfall token to be bigger? I don't know. Oh, he wants to be able to kill the 𝑍. I see what he's doing. Okay, that makes sense. And a Get Lost for the Virtue? Okay, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty strong. I'll give that to you. So we don't have anything we can attack with this turn, right? We will make a token with the Broken Sky at end of turn, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Play a Virtue. We're gonna hold up Leyline Binding and Virtue of Loyalty, like have the opportunity to cast either of those. So let's just pass the turn. Let's trigger our Broken Sky, draw a card off the talent, get a token. I think leylining the Leyline might be the right play. Maybe do it when he's swinging in with the Archangel so that we can block. Or maybe we just... Nah, I don't think we take the chance. I think we let him come in and kind of force him to have to use his removal now. My turn, you say. Do you have a counterspell, sir? Alright, we hit your Leyline Binding. Get our 𝑍 back. Get really happy. And then... I guess we take your Archangel, huh? Let's grab some more mana. Go black. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. We have so much craziness. I don't know what is actually the right play. do that. Just use that last bit of mana, why not? And let's swing with the team. Put you at 19, put ourselves up to 26. Trigger the Virtue, untap everything, put counters on everything, get another token off the Broken Sky. Thank you for the follow, frat bro. Appreciate it greatly. Darkest Dragon? I mean, that would be fun. He Sunfalls, but I mean, I think the Sunfall is too little too late, honestly. I don't think it matters. I think we have so much value. We've got a Zur in the yard. Alright, Corpses of the Lost. Draw a card. Mockingbird, pay 0. Level up the Caretaker's talent. The goal is just to do as much work as possible with as little cards as possible. Alright, we'll keep the Zoraline. Just, you know, in case he has more BS. Alright, we get him to 16. We end the turn. We make a token. We use Virtue of Loyalty. We make everything bigger. We just constantly keep forcing him to have to deal with our board state, an overwhelming board state, without running out of gas in our hand. Because, like, if he wipes the board this time, we can play out a Virtue of Persistence and use it to get back a Zur. We could play out a Zoraline and get back whatever we want. We could play out another Virtue of Persistence. Like, if we just do one of those each turn, it's just going to be too much. Alright, I mean, he hits the Caretaker's talent, that's fine. Seven, sure. Atraxa. 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5. I think we're fine. I think we're fine. 5, 3. We can turn Atraxa into a 3/3 with our 2 virtues. He's got 15 cards left and we have 29. Alright, he kills our dude. But he killed the Mockingbird one, which is actually better for us. Alright, so Zoraline. We get back Mockingbird won't be able to become anything very relevant if we bring that back. 5, 3. I think we actually bring back the corpses. I think we actually bring back the corpses. We want to trick him into blocking the 3-2 with the Atraxa if we can. We need to make sure that Atraxa is just gone. Alright, we still have a huge board. We've still got 2 Virtue of Persistences to play. This game is nuts, dude. This game is crazy. I think we might end up decking him. He plays another Atraxa. He's definitely not going to have enough mana to sweep. Ooh, he's going to be in rough shape, bro. His Atraxas are going to kill him. He's just not going to be able to burn us down quick enough. It's just not going to happen. And we've got Atraxas in the yard that we can grab now with our Virtues. Dude, it's so over. It's so over. Lightning Helix, sure. You're down to 8 cards, bro. What are you gonna do? We have 35 life still. Okay, use all your Lightning Helixes.
Let's roll!
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you for the follow, Dismemberist. Bananas. This game is bananas. Oh, and we have a Leyline Binding. Dude, insanity. Utter insanity. We have no basics left. Alright, do we hit a Leyline Binding to hit a Leyline Binding? I think we do. Because that just gives us more opportunity to have big things that can turn into creatures with Zur and attack. Takes 4, right? We've got Zur online now. We've got 8 mana left. As much as I want to turn things into creatures, I think it's just better to play this while he's tapped out, while we don't have to risk him countering it. Take action. Take action. Just make even more skeletons now. Like, he can't keep up with our value. We outvalued Domain Ramp, and it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. Doesn't even matter, bro. It doesn't even matter. We have all the value in the world now. Herd migration, sure. It's so sad that that herd migration is worthless. That does nothing to us. Nothing. He's down to 3 cards, bro. 23? Oh my god, he actually almost won. Who plays Imodane's Recruiter in this deck? Like, wow. Wow. Alright, we have a lot of options. We want Virtue, for sure. So that we can kill something and gain life back, right? We only have enchantments and lands. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. That is so funny. Case of the Stash Skeleton. Sure, we can dump that. We go you. We go you. We go you. We attack for 15. Gain 15 life. He might have a Leyline Binding. Yeah, he does. It's still not enough, though. Oh, he takes away the lifelink. That's so smart. That is so smart. Gain 2 there. Untap stuff. Decline. Decline. We have 4 blockers. This is close. Oh, he's got us. He's got us with the Archangel. He's got us with the Archangel. Wow, what a game. We should have had that. He ran out of cards. We were literally 1 turn away. Insane. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.